So hi everybody, I'm Lee Fredericks. I lead the technical sales team for IBM Cloud in EMEA, focused on PaaS, Platform as a Service. Delighted to say I'm joined by Greg Hodgkinson. Greg is CTO for Prolifics. Hi there, Greg.
Hey Lee, good to be here with you today.
And you and I obviously are here to talk about distributed cloud and the IBM Cloud Satellite product. Can we just take a quick step back though, and let's just talk about the as a service space first, just for those that perhaps aren't quite as familiar with it as we are. Could you maybe just describe that and why it's so important?
Yes, and that's really important to use as your starting point. So as a service and the value prospect of as a service is incredibly important to understand why we're excited about Cloud Satellite. So I'm going to use an example that everyone can relate to, which is Salesforce, but it could be any as a service software. When you start your Salesforce journey, let's imagine for a moment that it was on-premise only software. And if you wanted to get started, you have to download it, you want to install it. That means you need your infrastructure. That means you need expertise. And that's just to get started. Once it's up and running, you then need, it becomes part of your core business, and you're going to need to look after it. You're going to plan upgrade cycles. You need to continually download and apply fixes. Again, you need that support team around it that's going to look after the software. Tickets are going to get raised. Users have issues when things run slow. You need to take decisions on upgrading the underlying operating system, making sure there's enough infrastructure to keep things responsive. In short, apart from that, there's also what happens if things go wrong. So that could mean downtime to your business. That could mean data loss, which is always a massive concern. In reality, you don't have to worry about any of those things when you consume a platform like this as a service. You just consume the capability. You don't need to update it. You don't need to patch it. You don't need that whole support team around it looking after it. So, in short, that is why people love to consume software as a service.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yes. But of course, as we know, there are certain restrictions around the as a service model, things that have stopped or prevented our customers from adopting that kind of paradigm in the past. Maybe you could explain a couple of those that you've seen.
Yeah. Well, so I like to think of it in terms of the fine print. So the fine print with as a service is you get all of the benefits I just spoke about, but only if you consume it as a service within the walled garden of a public cloud. So what I mean by that is you can consume all kinds of software today on the IBM Cloud as a service, from databases to entire platforms like Cloud Pak for Data. But you can only do that within that public cloud experience. So as soon as you want to consume that software outside of the public cloud, then you're forced to go back to the on-premise install model and all of the headaches that entails.
That's right, yeah. And so obviously now we can enter into the sort of world of distributed cloud and IBM Cloud Satellite. Maybe you could just explain how they help to alleviate those concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I think Cloud Satellite can be really revolutionary. So in short, you get all the benefits of as a service without the restrictions. So you get the as a service experience outside of the public cloud, and you get that by taking your infrastructure and basically plugging it into the public cloud with Cloud Satellites. And then from that point onwards, your infrastructure, no matter where it is, can be managed by the public cloud. That's at its core. That's what Cloud Satellite lets you do. So that could be in your data center, that infrastructure. It could be in another public cloud. The more interesting ones are at the edge. So when we're talking about compute infrastructure at the edge, think about things like ATMs or kiosks in shops or devices in hospitals. So pretty much anywhere. So you get the ability to consume your as a service software in any of those locations, any other infrastructure, and it is automatically looked after, it is automatically upgraded, and you don't have any of the concerns around the platform, but all of the benefits of that platform.
So if we could just elaborate a little bit on that last sort of platform point, and obviously dear to my heart is OpenShift. Where does OpenShift play in all of this?
Yeah, so that's what really got us excited about Cloud Satellite was the value it brings to OpenShift. So OpenShift already, Kubernetes and OpenShift have become this compelling technology operations platform for pretty much all your business workloads. So whether it's applications or data or APIs, all of those workloads can be run as pods in an OpenShift cluster. So with all of those benefits that OpenShift brings. Now with Cloud Satellite, to get that experience, to get that OpenShift platform, you can simply consume it as a service. So there's no downloading and installing and maintaining. You just get to focus on your workloads, so deploying and maintaining the workloads that you own, your unique workloads on top of the platforms, rather than all of the efforts and again, concerns and worries that come with maintaining the platform itself. So it's much more focused value proposition. So that can bring, I believe, significant business advantage. Again, letting your teams focus on your competitive edge rather than focusing on their commoditized platform underneath the covers. And I think that for CIOs and CTOs that are looking for a common platform, like an OpenShift, this adds that extra dimension into the decision. So the fact that you can now get that same ease of use, that same as a service experience of consuming the platform, whether it's in the cloud or any other infrastructure, wherever you choose, I think that's an important consideration that's going to add a little bit of extra comfort to the decision of buying into OpenShift as a platform. And I will shortly say that that same logic then extends to the cloud packs and their workloads as well.
Absolutely, yes. And no, that really resonates. We're seeing that a lot, where you've got that consistency, that familiarity with developers used to using maybe dev and test environments in the public cloud, and then bringing production environments possibly on-prem. But that consistency of using the OpenShift platform wherever they're working in their sort of hybrid cloud real estate. So let's move on now. We've satellites GA'd, and we're starting to see some really interesting applications of the satellite technology. You mentioned one, which is the use of satellite to manage a customer's OpenShift estate. We're also seeing things like new partnerships springing up, partners who want to be able to offer IBM Cloud managed PaaS services, perhaps in regions of the world where we don't have a data center at the moment. So maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the interesting use cases that Prolifics are seeing.
So we're seeing, pretty much from customers across, you name the industry and you name the interesting place they want to run their workloads, we're seeing interest in Cloud Satellite. So, and I like to think of the really interesting ones being at the edge. So closer to customers, where you want to run a workload close to a customer, and that customer, so for Prolifics, our customers. And again, that could be the kiosk in a retail store. It could be something like an ATM. It could be a medical device that's either in a hospital or in a patient's home. And the key thing here is latency. So one of the key things I like to focus on at the edge, at least, is that notion of latency. So the ability to do real-time processing within that location, within that device, within that kiosk. And then the examples there could be either for reasons of safety. So maybe in the medical examples, safety is a massive concern. So being able to make a real-time determination, a real-time decision within that device is key. You don't want to be calling out to the cloud service in the public cloud. Or, switching to retail, we could be, the latency and the speed of real-time could be a buying decision. So again, if we speak about these kiosks that are placed within a location, within a retail location, as we know, customers make their decisions pretty quickly. And if you're able to influence that buying decision in real time based on the data that you're getting, then that can be a key determination to the success of any software running within that kiosk. So I've spoken a little bit now about the decisions and real-time decisions. This is really where you can start talking about something like a Cloud Pack for data, which has both the data components and the AI components required to be able to make those decisions. But we're talking about a platform and running that platform in the cloud or running that platform on-premise is one thing. But now we're talking about the flexibility with Cloud Satellite, again, of being able to take that platform and run it with workloads wherever you want. So in those kiosks, in those devices. And that is really, I think, a step forward from the kind of flexibility that we've had in the past. So it's enabling you to have richer software capabilities at the edge, again, with a platform like Cloud Pack for data, potentially, or a platform like OpenShift. You have those richer software capabilities at the edge without the cost of having to install and look after the infrastructure and look after the software in that infrastructure that comes with doing it as a, again, more of a native software install. As a service allows you to just roll out those capabilities into those devices and just consume the platform rather than having to actually go and look after that platform.
Fantastic. So maybe finally, you could just give our listeners a little bit of advice. Anybody who's thinking, how can they get started with satellite? What can they do to sort of take this further?
Absolutely. So, I strongly believe within our innovation center in rolling up your sleeves and getting hands-on so that you could prove out the value proposition. So to get started, you need to start kicking the tires just to see how easy it is. So that is incredibly easy to do in this case. You sign up to the IBM Cloud, you provision Cloud Satellite from the catalog, you start plugging in your infrastructure, and then see what it means for your workloads and the reduction of complexity and the effort that is required to look after those workloads. Once you get a feel for that, then you can step back and do the maths and then work out what that means, both in terms of cost savings, in terms of reduced cost of disruption or potential disruption to operations, and also the increased focus or IT bandwidth that you can then repurpose to focus instead on disrupting your competitors. So I think, again, as soon as you start getting hands-on with the software, you can better get a sense for what it's going to mean to your business.
That's great. Thank you. And that's all we've got time for, I'm afraid. So I just want to say thanks very much, Greg. It's been really fascinating listening to all these different use cases and your application of satellite. So thank you very, very much.
All right. Thanks, Lee. Thanks all.
Brilliant. And we hope to speak to you all soon.